This is the Mamiya M645 service manual. Very dense document. I don't recommend it. It's not light reading, it's not fun, and it doesn't really give you much unless you are a qualified Mamiya service technician. This is my original Mamiya M645. So don't worry about what I'm about to do to this thing, because it is completely cooked. There is everything wrong with this. The shutter curtain, the back is extremely rusted. Shutter curtain doesn't even close anymore, no matter how hard I press the battery check button. It's just bad. I left the screws out of this for a couple of reasons, because I figured this was just going to be a donor parts thing now, and I just didn't want to have to go to the effort of taking it all apart. But there's a screw right here, there's a screw right here, and there are two screws under here. You can peel that off, or you can just peel up the corners. The adhesive on this specific particular Mamiya M645 works so well. It's so strong. It is held up through the years. Yeah, there are two screws right here and here. And then you need to take off the knobs. There are little screws under the leather coverings. You need to take off the winding knob. That's pretty easy. And then you need to take off the little nut holding on the strap, lug thing, whatever. And then you can do this. This is the inside of a Mamiya M645. Ignore the big hole right there. We'll get back to that. This is an extremely complex device, like the likes of which, I could not have designed this. I cannot figure it out. You can see there's electronics down there as part of the shutter control mechanism. There's the big solenoid that actually controls the shutter. You can see some parts of the mechanism working there. There's a whole thing going on here with the levers and all sorts of different things that they actuate. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about all that. Let me get some parts out. Inside this baggie is the film transport mechanism from my Mamiya M645 1000S. It consists entirely of the tiniest little gears you have ever seen in your life. This is the big counterwheel. This is what you actually see while you are looking for what exposure you're on. That is connected via the gearing on the back to the top of this wheel, which stops the film in the correct position. It stops the transport mechanism. And then that is connected via this gear, which pops right on the bottom there. It's connected via this gear to this. These two tiny little gears here are the little thing that you actually see inside the film back of your Mamiya M645. And these are kind of a nuisance. These break, they get worn down. They, after years of use, this gear kind of fails. And that was the problem with my M645 1000S. That gear had failed. This is actually the gear out of my 1000S. And as I said, for the camera itself, it is completely cooked. It was fully broken, nothing was working. I was trying to fix it and failing. The works. So, you can see that there actually aren't that many components to this. There's only this, the tiny little screws that hold each of the mechanisms onto each other, and the gears themselves. I got it into my head that I could actually replace this. Essentially, this gear, this gear, and this gear. I could move them from this body over to my M645 1000S and essentially have a working camera and create a homunculus the likes of which humanity has never seen or known before. So that's what I did. You can actually see that's missing all there because I removed those and I moved them to my M645 1000S. And now it works perfectly. Like, it works better than it did whenever I first got it, which is crazy to me. I actually managed to repair this all by myself. I didn't have to pay anybody, well, aside from what I paid for both of these bodies, which was quite a lot. I kind of had to wreck the inside of this to get the gears out, but, you know, what's done is done. And I've done it, and instead of having a non-working body with all the parts in place, I have a working body and a non-working body with not all the parts in place. And that is how I repaired my Mamiya M645. I just replaced some parts with parts from another body. I can't exactly recommend this method of repair if you're having winding issues with your 645, because it is kind of a pain, but it worked for me. It might work for you. You know, I'm not responsible if you brick your camera, quite literally in the case of the 645, but yeah, it's an option.